today it's all about shift bidding and AutoRoster, and luckily I'm not the one having to do all the talking about that. We've got some specialists here, and it's great to hear that Karen, she's letting us know she can hear as well from Sydney. So if we're making it to Sydney, I'm sure that we're making it around the country, because we're all in the Geelong area at the moment. So I am joined today by Sam, who's a senior account specialist, and she will run you guys through everything. And John as well. John is our business operations manager. And yeah, if you want to, I can let the guys maybe quickly introduce themselves a little bit. Sam, I'll start with you if you want to tell us a bit about yourself. Oh, I cannot hear you at the moment. I don't know if
that's because I muted myself because I didn't want to have my background noise of my cat. I apologize. Sorry. Morning. My name's Samantha. I'm a senior account specialist here at Microkeeper. So I'm one of the guys that's helping you guys get live. I'm helping manage the support team as well, and just that sort of stuff. In my role. I'm really excited to show you the roster bidding. I know we had a look at it briefly a few weeks ago, but I'm really excited to show you the final version of it today.
Yeah, great. And on my other, or below me in your preview is John.
How you going, guys? John here. Yeah, as I said, I'm head of business operations at Microkeeper. I also I involve myself in the sales and customer experience in the platform. So I really enjoy getting to know everyone and getting to know what they do in their business. It's always super exciting. From that point of view, and get to work with all these guys, as well as getting to have sort of a sneak peek at some of these amazing features, and all of sort of this sort of stuff comes from feedback that we get. So when you guys come and give us a problem and tell us what you think could be the best solution, we try and devise something in Microkeeper that will be a great experience for the whole community, and try and answer those questions. So yeah, again, super excited to bring that to you guys today.
Awesome. Great. And maybe, John, I might give the second part a little bit to you then.
Yep.
So we'll do a quick intro to shift bidding and AutoRoster. Then we'll go into the when and the why to use shift bidding and AutoRoster. Sam's going to take us to the process breakdown of how you can actually use it. And then we'll end with a Q&A session. So obviously, like John said, some of this stuff started from feedback from users. And quickly, most of the people here are obviously Microkeeper users, but quickly what we do is we're a one-stop solution for your core HR, your rostering, your timesheets, and your payroll. And we're used with businesses from like one employee to thousands of employees, mostly all around Australia. So, and the great thing as well is, like I was telling someone yesterday, the good thing is that once people use us, are very, very happy with us. We get great reviews across the App Store, across the Xero App Store, Capterra, Trustpilot, and also Google Play. So if you're a Microkeeper user and you are enjoying the features that we are bringing out, feel free to drop us a review in one of these platforms. That means a lot to us, especially the Capterra and Trustpilot ones, because they're highly regarded by people that are looking into us, and it's always good for them to learn a bit about us. So shift bidding, John, is something that can you maybe tell us a little bit about, like, what problem does it solve, and where did it arise?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Dane. Look, shift bidding was coming from a recurring question to us here, and sort of recurring feedback of a number of things. One, wanting to be able to go to potentially a large database of people, or potentially a highly casualized workforce, and be able to see where shifts could fit in to people's lives, basically. So, instead of sort of the old form of, I've got to check an availability, and then I've got to make sure that person can work, and then if last minute they can't, or whatever it is, and this back and forward tit for tat, to be able to sort of almost generate automatically a roster based on our needs. So basically, coming from a point of view of, okay, let's break that down. I've got specific days and specific times within those days that I want a staff member or staff members to be able to work, along with specific potential skill sets and other parameters around that staff member that need to be considered when giving this information to a person. So basically, what we endeavored to do was get a piece of software developed within our system that gives the ability for a business or a rostering manager to be able to set a base set roster with no staff members assigned, and then the system to have the right background of information to know, well, okay, based on these particular shifts, who can I send it to? And do we need to consider things like, are they on leave? Do they have the right skill sets to apply? Are they currently rostered on? All of these things, and then send it to the people that will be potentially ready and available to work. So the other side of it, basically the other conversation that we've had many a time with people, is the last minute sick call. So you've basically woken up and you've got a bit of a cold or a sore throat or something like that. You don't feel like you can come into work. You don't want to share it around. So I call into my manager and I say, hey, look, I'm sick, but my shift literally starts in an hour and a half, sort of thing. So the ability for that manager to, instead of the old way of, okay, let's think about who we can have. Okay, here's a list of 10 people that potentially could work. Let's start picking that phone up, make the first call. Oh, sorry, no, I can't. No, I'm playing golf. No, I'm on whatever. All of those situations that occur, and then you get to let's say number 7, and they go, yep, I can work. You go, great. And then you've wasted 45 minutes, and now you've got that person now only has 30 minutes to get ready. To be able to go, all right, I want this one shift that the person is sick on, to be able to basically be automatically taken by, let's say, the first person. So sort of first in, best dressed. So the system being able to create that one particular, what we'd call an auction around that one individualized shift, send it out to a number of staff members, maybe 10. And then the first person that goes, yeah, I can work there, bang, clicks it. And within minutes, potentially having that shift filled. So that was sort of the background, and I suppose the catalyst to start the conversation around what we now call shift bidding, and obviously what our development team, along with a lot of other heads in Microkeeper, came together to give their sort of 2 cents worth of what we thought was needed, and then obviously shared that with clients that were considering that, and again getting their feedback after their alpha test and so forth, to then obviously be able to finalize something into what Sammy's going to show us today as a fully fledged, released, polished shift bidding module.
Great. And in a good way as well, like that our marketing team whipped up here is a little animation that you guys are seeing on screen now of how it works. So available shifts are sent out, staff member shows their interest, and then basically those shifts can be assigned. So that's great. That's a very quick rundown of that. Then we've got the auto rostering, where that whole system actually gets automated completely, and the manual side of it gets taken out of it, and the employee doesn't even have to put a manual bid in. We basically just look like, okay, we have all these people that potentially could do this shift, and we're just going to automatically assign shifts to people. So you won't have to actually sit there anymore and look, okay, who am I going to assign this shift to, and go through that as well. So it could be a big time saver there as well.
Absolutely. And the other thing that comes to mind there, that for businesses who potentially have to cost out particular jobs, or maybe even quote particular jobs, and want to know what that labor cost is. So the ability in this feature to be able to potentially look at, well, what is my cheapest cost? What is my most experienced staff look like? And see all of that in real time is really, really powerful. So being able to go, well, I know that if I click cheapest cost, this is sort of, as an overview, this is the least it could cost me. So I need to consider for that, or maybe have some buffer in there if I'm quoting this out. So you're definitely right. Like it's hugely powerful, even when it comes to more the simulation side of rostering.
Yeah, awesome. Great. And then I'm going to hand over to Sam and stop talking myself, because I feel I've talked too much now. and we're going to actually dive into what it looks like.
Yeah.
And we'll wait with the questions and comments till later. So I'll stop sharing my screen and we'll come back to that later. But
Yeah.
Sam, I'll hand over to you.
Sounds good. All right. I'm just going to share my screen here. Let that load up. Brilliant. All right. So this is the first thing you currently see with the standard Microkeeper. So you've got your roster calendar, and I've pre-set up this week of the year. So this is me pretty much just telling me that in my front of house location, I know I need 2 people from 9 to 4, not 9 to 4, 9 to 2, and another 2 people from 12 to 7. I've deliberately designated them here as open because that means that I know it's going to be available for roster bidding when I start that process. So that's what I've done in advance of this. If you wanted to have a full run through of how the rostering works, we do have videos, tutorials available on certain topics, and we have a fully fledged guides area in the system that you can look at, or you can always just give us a call, and one of our very lovely support staff is more than happy to help you with some of those steps and that sort of thing. But moving on, we actually have the roster bidding part of it. So there's, as we said, there's 2 sort of elements. There's the automated side of things, and then there is the side of things where employees can bid on the shifts. So I'll start with that side because that one's a little bit more fun. What I can do is I want to create the auction. So first off, I'll come up here and just follow this step-by-step sort of process. So roster open shifts, which is what I did, or if I had other shifts which were other people, I can convert them. So if I wanted to convert blank shifts that just said the word employee where I haven't selected anyone, I can swap them to something else. Or if I wanted to, I can swap them from a previous auction, those sort of things. Then I can create my auction. So I'll do that. Click the blue create button. I can pick the period of time. So the period of time that this roster is for is automatically entered into here for me. But if I wanted to say do it for an entire fortnight or just two days, I could. So a great example was the one John gave for the sick leave. Put 1 day in for that one thing, go from there. Then I select what type I want. I have, as I said before, the automated sort of side and then the staff bidding side. So I'll show you the staff bidding just to start. So when I select which type of one I want, I also get the option to how I want to notify my staff that this is happening. So I can email them, I can send a push notification, or I can opt into SMS. SMSs, as you may be aware, do potentially incur extra fees. So that's why it's not selected by default, just so you're not accidentally getting charged anything. And then I can pick when I want it to be live. So I can make it live now, or I could make it live later. So basically, if I was just setting this up in advance for, a Christmas period, I could pick when I want it to go live later. I don't even have to think about it. And I know my things will start getting filled closer to the time that it's relevant. But in this example, we'll just go live now. So I click simulate. It gives me a bit more information about the period that I've selected before I create it fully. It tells me here I've got 30 shifts that are open. I have 174 potential bids on all across those 30 shifts based on who is eligible for it, all these other things. And then you've got ineligible bids, that sort of thing. And then 580% response rate. So that means we are definitely likely to get what we need. So I can then click create. And there we can see here my roster auction is now created. So close off this create one because I've done that now. Now the process of the staff placing bids happens. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go open up Microkeeper in another tab just because I'm going to log in as an employee so we can see that sort of side of things. So I'll go to the employees console, and what they'll see is all of these options if they're eligible to take the shift. So you can see here, I want to work front of house on the 6th. I know I'm available. So as an employee, I place my bid, and there we go. And I can continue doing that for other days if I want to as well. So I'll just bid a few here, just random ones. There we go. So that's the bidding process on the employees end. It is really, really, really simple, but then we've got to assign them to the shifts. So I'll close this off, and now we can have a look at the staff side of things. So we've done step 3 where I've placed the bid, and now we can review the progress. So I can see here, this one here is my one. It is 10 days away. So if I refresh my page, because I know I just put some bids in, And I go back to here just to make sure I'm on the right week. I'll click review progress again, and there we go. So this is the one I just created. It starts 10 days away, so that's when the 6th happens. And you can see it's got 10% response progress and 1% response rate, and it's live now. Now I can do the part of actually assigning staff. So if I had theoretically got this to, 100% bid progress and a good response rate, I can then assign people. So I click assign, and then I come down here. You can sort of see it loading. Come down here, and that's where that name pops up, where I put my bid. So that's me. I put my bid in there, and then I can be assigned to it. But sometimes you might not want that person who bid on it to be assigned based on all of these sort of factors here, which I'll touch on in a moment. So you might want to switch it out, which you can certainly override. So any other people that had bid as well would come up on this list. Now, this has been distributed based on these factors here as well. So you have even distribution. As John mentioned before, you may have a lowest cost. So what it's doing right now, it's taking all the bids that would have made into account, recalculating based on who would be the lowest cost there. That sort of thing, highest cost, most experienced, least experienced, etc. Then we have protected hours. So this is how many hours in between shifts. So there's normally in most awards, a minimum length of time between one shift and another, otherwise it incurs overtime. Then you have overtime hours. So if the employee has worked over a certain number of hours a week, that's say they meant to only have 38, but they've bid on another shift, so that shift would take them to say 30, not 30, sorry, like 42. What you would have is you would have to have them allowing OT 2 hours, or else they wouldn't come up in the assignment area. So it protects those sort of things there. Then once I'm happy with all of them, I just click assign staff. So that's the bidding side of things. Now with the automated part, instead of it being an employee, it ends up being a system just automatically doing it. So we'll create another one. So this is where using convert is really useful as well. So I can now go convert auctioned back to open. So I'm taking the shifts from the other auction I just created, opening them up again for this one, and then I'm going to create the automated one. So great. That's just told me all of the ones that were before have been converted over. Now I can create that second one. So I'm going to click create once again, but this time I'm just clicking automated, simulate, create, close that off. So I don't need to worry about waiting for staff to place bids because my progress is immediately going to be 100% because it's doing it automatically. It's not taking into account staff. It's just taking into account who is available based on their availability, based on leave requests, all those sort of things. So then I can go and assign staff. So I click on that, come down to the bottom, and scroll down. So here we can see instead it's all filled out. We have people for these shifts ready to go, how many bids, all that sort of thing. And this is where we really, because it's all full, we'll really see this sort of change up. So at the moment it's just even distribution, quite fair. Then we could change to probably not first in best dressed. That's a bad example for this one. I meant to click lowest cost there. So we know based on our budgeting that these people would be the lowest cost people to be assigned based on their hourly rate and that sort of thing. So now that's why you're seeing a lot of the same names popping up because they would be the lowest ones. That said, if you wanted to go with most experienced instead, say you knew this event was really important to your business and making sure it went smoothly, you would be able to swap it over and you're going to get people who have been with the business longer, that sort of thing. Then we also have on the right-hand side, the hours. So this is that total hours each employee has been rostered so far during this period. So we can see, for example, Joel Davis, Naree Flynn, and for, like Craig, they already have 30 or so hours. So we may not want to give them additional hours, that sort of thing. But the actual last part of the process is just clicking assign staff. And now I've got 30 shifts assigned in that week. I've got that week selected up the top here. I click display. And now instead of an empty roster, I have people, I have estimated costs, I have a lot of different things. And I even have same things as normal. So that's the overall process of doing both of those sort of methods. Really depends on what you're needing from the system at the time when creating them, to which you'll choose.
Awesome. I think that was a really good breakdown, because even I could follow along, and I'm probably the least experienced Microkeeper user of everyone attending, because I suppose we have a lot of rostering managers here. It's time to get into our Q&A. And I already have a question from someone here. And that's Carly Goodwin. And she asked, will the shifts come up on the employee console if they are not available for that day?
That's a great question, Carly. Honestly, I think the idea behind it is to give them an opportunity to say yes, even though they may have said previously they're not available, when it comes to weekly availability in that instance. I think it takes into account leave requests differently to weekly availability. Because that obviously allows them to apply for those sort of shifts, even though, because things can change on the weekly side of things versus if they've got leave, that's a vacation or they're ill or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's, from what I've heard, is indeed correct.
But what we can do is we can always double check as well. I'm 99% sure that's it, but I'll always double check too.
Great, awesome. I see also in the Q&A section there are already a few questions. We've got Tracy Anderson. She says, if you have a couple of staff who have set shifts, can you set them and then ask for the other shifts to be filled? So if basically you have a roster, there's a few people that you've manually rostered, can you automate the other ones or put the other ones out for bidding?
And the answer is yes, 100%. You can have your routine permanents set in the roster already and then have one other shift that's open, and it'll only be the open shifts that are auctioned off.
Great. And then I've got Ryan Delacca. He asks, if you are bidding for a shift and it is filled, will the casuals be notified it is filled? Or will they still be able to bid?
Yeah. So it will. Sorry, go ahead, John.
Yeah, I was going to say it depends on a couple of things, but obviously when the period of time for shift bidding is complete and then you make that a sign, that is when basically, let's call it, the roster is published and a decision is made. As Sam showed in the previous, obviously we can see that, if one person's bid on the shift, it doesn't mean that multiple people can't, because as a business, we might like to look at it and go, okay, we can see that 4 people have bid on this particular shift, and actually out of the 4, we actually want to choose this one, even though the Microkeeper system may have chosen somebody else. So yes, it still allows you to bid on open shifts until it's assigned. Once obviously the assignment has occurred, that is when then it is complete, finished. You cannot bid on that any further. And obviously the people who have, let's call it, won the bid, then are notified.
Yeah, because they'll see it on their roster as well. They see it appear on their roster shift, I presume.
Yep.
Awesome. I've got a question from May, and she asks, is there a maximum period limit for roster automation? So how far, I suppose, I might be misinterpreting that question, but can you basically do it for like months in advance? Can you go like, okay, I'm going to roster the whole next six weeks?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, there isn't a maximum period. Obviously, the only thing that I would probably consider from a usability component is having them open for a long period of time and having potentially multiple open. So you might have, you said, I want to open this for 6 or 8 weeks, and then I'm going to have maybe another 3 there. That list that Sam showed of how many bids are available is going to get quite long. So from a staff member point of view, they may see it and go, there's quite a lot there to get through. And obviously what we sort of think is, from a rostering point of view, if it's sort of in a chronological order, you might keep it open for potentially, a week, or so, absolutely fine. I would probably, from a point of view, as I said, of use case, I wouldn't see it being utilized for, large, like months at a time, having it open for months and months and months, because obviously from a manager point of view, you want to start being prepared, start assigning, letting the people know that potentially have bid. Yes, organize yourself because you've got these shifts or whatever it might be. But to answer your question, no, there is no maximum period. You can have it for as long as you need.
Yeah, awesome. And I think as well, like especially obviously when there's staff involvement with the shift bidding, that's obviously one part of it. But with the fully automated, simulated, that might indeed, you can indeed go as crazy as you want to go. So that's great. I've got a few more questions. I'm going to also try and just publish them. I don't know what this does. We've never had this many questions, I think, during a tutorial. So I'm just going to hit publish. We've had a question of what does the staff experience look like. Now we've shown that briefly, but people might have missed that. Shiley asked that. So maybe I'll just quickly stop screen sharing, and Sam, if you might want to navigate back to that.
Yeah, I can definitely do that.
And just bearing in mind, guys, that this particular, what Sam's sharing currently is obviously our desktop view. It is totally mobile friendly as well. It'll just stack, all of these tiles will stack.
Yeah, it goes into one column instead of the three. But I just opened up that roster bidding again. So you can see here, this is what the employee will see. So this is a great example of it being really simple, of someone's gone sick and then the employee will see that this comes up. They get the notification and then they can place their bid, or they can sort of hide it. And that's what their experience is. And when they receive the shift, it'll come up in their roster area here. So if I was to bid on it and then be assigned, it would come up under here in the next few weeks, because obviously the current week is only the 22nd.
Yeah, cool. And a question that might actually be interesting to keep your screen open, Sam, is the next one is, can you open the bidding to specific staff only, or does it open it all to all staff at all times in that group?
Yeah, so it'll open for anyone who's available to be rostered for that shift. So the list that you will be opening it to, essentially, if I go to my roster calendar, and I go down here, these auctioned ones here, it'll be available for these staff in this available section. So if they're unavailable or rostered on, that sort of thing, it's not going to come up for them because they're not in the options, but otherwise it comes up for everyone. And that's why we have the assign area, because that way you still in the end get to pick who it is in the end.
And it's obviously only going to push it out to people who are available to be rostered for that specific job as well. So
correct.
You could probably technically, if you do want to make it so that you have a workaround, you could probably create a job that you only assign to certain people, I suppose, so that it doesn't get pushed out to 50 people, but only to the 5 that you want to be able to do that job. I mean,
that's exactly it. Yeah, it interacts with our roles and our jobs as sort of the rest of the part system does as well.
And the idea being too, like, obviously, if potentially you only want 1 or 2 people to be able to bid on a particular shift, that's quite an easy choice. I want to choose one of these 2 people. So as a manager, potentially I can make that choice, or even have a chat to those 2. The idea behind sort of the roster bidding per se is more that you might have a pool that can do these particular shifts that might be 30 or 40 people, if you like. And the point of I don't want to talk to every individual person and hear everybody's story, then go and create my shift. It's a way of basically automating that mass sort of broadcast, if you like, of the shifts available. So but yes, there are definitely workarounds, and you can use grouping to your advantage here, grouping to maybe potentially a specific location or role, so that you only are sending out to these people if it was something that would recur. So if it recurred over and over and over and you only ever wanted to give it to these 2 people, potentially you would make a group and location specific for them, versus if it was a one-time thing.
Yeah, awesome. A question that's related to that is from Chloe, and she asks, can you please quickly explain how you can block the bidding for those who don't have the required skill set?
You can go, Sammy.
Yeah,
Go.
because I'm on the page already. It does it automatically. You don't even have to interact with it. If they're not skilled, they'll come up under this unskilled heading here. I'm just checking you guys can see it. Yep, brilliant. So see how we've got the heading here on the left? If someone's in that unskilled area, they're not going to be able to bid on the shift. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Awesome. And obviously skills are something that can be set up role specifically. And if you need more information about that, we do indeed, like Sam said, if you can go to our YouTube channel, that's youtube.com/microkeeper Oz, so AUS. And there's obviously some tutorials available there. There's some info in our guide, or you can call our team that will happily explain it as well. Let me see if I've got any more Q&As. I've got thanks guys, great info, and looks like a very useful addition. So that's obviously very nice feedback. We love hearing feedback from our users, and that's great. I've also ran a poll. So if you haven't seen that yet, that will be sticking out on the side of the screen, whether you'll be using our rostering automation. And it's great to see that 75% of people that have answered have said yes, they are very interested in using it. And
excellent.
We've got 2 people who said no, might not be for them, and then 1 person who said they'll need a little bit more info. So that's absolutely fine. If you do need more info, we are available, and we'll obviously have some more articles on our website about this as well. So you can read a bit of a breakdown on our blog at the moment. We'll be showing more articles around it, and there is a guide in process as well, and that's available in our guide section right now. I'll wait 1 more minute to see if there's any more questions coming in, but so far it just seems to be feedback, people saying that it's cool and people saying that it's awesome and looking forward to using it.
Excellent.
That is good. That's great to hear. And actually, the yes vote on the poll has gone up since the poll. So that's awesome. Great. Awesome. Well, that means that we can, I suppose, round up. Is there anything else that you guys want to plug or talk about or say before I officially end the webinar? Sam, I'll start with you.
No, I'm just really excited to have a new feature for us to sort of show and teach people about. We've all been working on it really hard in the office to try and get it up to scratch, to get it to the best experience. And even though we're saying it's final now, we still appreciate any feedback. As always, on anything in the system, we really like it, and we like taking that on and just improving it.
Yeah, awesome. John, anything else that you want to plug or share?
Yeah, look, guys. So there's definitely a lot in today. Like what Sam's gone through, it is it is quite intuitive. It will get easier once you start having a play and the like. But again, just reiterating both what Stain and Sam further confirmation of if you are having issues, if you've got further questions, and maybe you're trying to get it to work and it's not quite happening exactly the way you saw it on this demo or whatever, feel free to reach out, because obviously we're here to help, and so forth. And definitely encourage you to have a play. And obviously we definitely we're more than happy to hear your feedback, and if you think that there are certain things that you guys would need in your specific business, because obviously that's what drives forward and makes these things better. But yeah, overly excited to bring it to everyone, and it's been a lot of sitting in the background, and it's a top secret sort of scenario, so it's awesome to unveil and awesome to share it. And we're super excited to see how people use it, because this is one way that we've thought this is how we would use it and how we see it to be used. But I'm always amazed, speaking to our clients, that they'll use it in a totally different way that we've never thought about, and it works really, really well. So super excited to see how that happens also.
Yeah, great. I think that's a very fair point. It's for us, it's exciting to see the feedback coming in, positive or negative. Positive, obviously, more exciting. So definitely, if you do use it and you have any sort of feedback, please let us know. We do appreciate it. And where you put like a review on one of these channels that I mentioned earlier, which is also very valuable to us, or just reach out to us directly if if there's something that's not working quite right, we very much welcome feedback. So yeah, that's it from all of us here at Microkeeper. I just want to say thank you everyone for joining us today. It's really great to see that it was such a positive turnout. Keep an eye on our website, keep an eye on our socials. We are in the works of creating more of these tutorials for YouTube as well. We'll keep on doing the webinars because we see that there's good feedback from them. So yeah, thank you so much everyone for joining us, and we'll catch you out next time.